I want you guys to entertain the idea of suffering in society for a moment. Is there real suffering going on in our current society? And while we're thinking about that, I want you guys to link the idea of, or not even idea, but the actual realization of why we're going to have a reset. It's all relative to that suffering, folks. The suffering is part of liberating the higher vibrated society, folks. That's what this is about. This is about a bigger fight. So what is suffering? Okay? Is it a starving population, folks? Do you think a starving population is suffering? Right? Actually. What about a war-torn environment? Right? War zones around the globe, Mother Earth. What about in your communities? What about the war zones in your communities? The gun violence. Children getting hit by stray bullets. People senselessly losing their lives who are not caught up in stupid conflicts. Just innocent bystanders going about their days and have to be victims. Are they suffering? So when they're suffering, there is fear, folks. And that fear and all of these things are low energy. When you wrap it up and you look at it for what it is. At the end of the day, the reckoning will come because of this suffering. The Lord also said that there will be suffering, even for his devotees. In the last days, folks. I talked to you guys about why they're suffering. The narcissism. Why you're not willing as a society to do certain things to stop this and get rid of all of this foolishness that we're suffering from. Because many of you don't really believe that suffering is something that's actual. You see it and you're experiencing it, but you think that as long as we bury our heads in the sands, we can deal with this suffering. But the suffering is all relative to the reckoning. Now, who's responsible for this reckoning, folks? The Creator, the Most High, folks. God, the Source. And I want you guys to think about a lot of the things that you do and a lot of the ways that you have lived your lives and done certain things. And these are the reasons why you're affected. Because of your own doing. So you're not willing. We're going to get back to that. Because it's about you, folks. You're not willing to stop some of the things you're doing. Now, I gave you certain exercises to get you guys to think about in society how you're slaves. Great crime that God is seeing because your free will is being violated. Do you understand that? If you want to go along with that process, then you're just a part of the lot that will be destroyed in the new process. You get what I'm saying, folks? It's how you're going to vibrate. You're not going to be able to vibrate in this new thing that's coming in, folks. Right? You're not going to be able to exist in a higher reality if you have low vibrating energies within you. So this is what you're not focusing on. You're not paying attention to certain things. Okay? I need you to understand on a certain level that what you're doing is the problem. So let's take it there. You don't want to stop doing some of the things you're doing because your self-serving behaviors feel so great. You understand? Your self-serving behaviors are responsible for a great deal of the suffering. There's that word again. And so I asked you folks earlier, do you believe that people who are starving around the world society, people who are actually starving, are they suffering? That starving being no food in their bellies for the day. That may make them think in ways where they have to do, in desperation, act in these ways, where they have to hurt other people. See how there's a energy there? You're not recognizing this, folks. But who's creating those conditions? See, the narcissist is what I want you guys to really think about. Are you the narcissist? Have you helped uplift this narcissism, which creates the suffering? Okay? It's something to think about, folks. Because a lot of you are consciously knowing that they're suffering. But if you bury your heads in the sand and just deal with it in small moments, you think you're addressing something, but you're not. This is why there's going to be a reckoning, folks, because this is what we're really talking about. The Most High. Right? The day that he's going to bring forth judgment on those very people who are causing his suffering. So on any level, if you're going along with the things that society is putting on other people, because you may be getting a perk or a leg up in this system that's giving out and dealing out this suffering, then you're part of this lot, folks. Okay? Now, I wanted you to think about that payment thing we were talking about, because that's a real thing. Higher beings are caretaking your reality, and they're doing it for the Most High. Where do you fall into this, folks? What is your job as a being existing? What should you be doing with your time? Your time should be giving praise to the Most High. That's all. If you give your praise to the Most High, and that's all you had to do, the energy would bring your abundance. The Most High would give you abundance. You would see that money is stupid. This is the whole point I'm trying to get you guys to see. It's all relative. Your selfishness. This is how things have come to be the way they are, folks. Your inabilities, right, to express humility to other people in various ways, and that's through your selfishness. Right? You may think your little old self is not responsible, but you're very culpable in this bigger thing. Because all of you collectively have an energy. And if your energy, like I said, buys into the evils of world society, then when it's time to be done away with that system, because money won't exist in this new system, folks. There are billions of societies around the universe that prosper and thrive. There's love. People do everything that they want to do. If those societies run without the same hardships and strife, because they're highly vibrated. This is what makes them heavenly worlds, folks. You create conditions that keep you from rising to a heavenly world. So Mother Earth is going to have to do a few things on her own. She's going to have to raise the vibration to rid this place of these lower energies, so that they can't manifest and do some of the things that they've been doing up to this point, folks. You see? You're commandeered. And that's what you don't get. You're hacked by the lower energies, because you yourselves have not learned how to look within yourselves and reflect in such ways that don't express that lower energy to other people, folks. So are you suffering? If it's as easy as getting all of these burns and people who control the food supply, if it's just as easy as telling them to feed starving people and they don't want to do it, doesn't that show you something, folks? Doesn't that show you where their mindset is? The narcissist is the reason why society cannot vibrate high enough. The narcissist is the reason why society is being propagated on certain levels to keep them from seeking that out, or understanding on a level where they realize their earth. When you guys covet foolishness, folks, you're part of the problem. It's as simple as that. You know, the Lord knows that his greatest devotees, his greatest followers will experience physical suffering. This is why he will come and liberate, folks. It's all about the Most High. At the end of the day, this is all about the Most High. When you're self-serving, you can't connect to the fact that he is everything, folks. If you're living in a society and you're buying into a society that does not free your consciousness in a way that points you to the Most High, if you're being led in ways where people want you to self-express, but that self-expression is not connected to the Most High, folks. You understand what I'm saying to you? Your duties, your reasoning all of the things that you've done in this world should relate back to the Most High. He is everything, folks. Your job should simply be to give him praise, like I said. All of the gifts, your ability to breathe air, your ability to experience the sunlight, the trees, your ability to experience all of these things, folks, are gifts. Your only thing that you owe God is his praise, because he's standing in you, in your vessel, to give you life. Your selfishness is not even acknowledging these things. Your selfishness is not even realizing that the great beings who are providing you the gifts are doing it as a token of free will, folks. But they're doing it more so as a duty for the Most High. So if you function and thrive in this consciousness, you won't have any wars. You won't have any starving people. You won't have any gun violence. Because you'll be too focused on greater things, folks. So when we get back to the day of reckoning, I need you to understand why that is. This is not about being preachy today. Because I know I've looked around and I've listened to a few things, and a lot of people seem to believe, you know, that we don't have to suffer. We can allow things to happen in our societies. We can ally with the evil things in our society. But we don't have to reckon with those things. Suffering can just be something that people can do to you when they feel like doing it. And how you deal with it is how we want to analyze suffering. But no. The reckoning is not about that. The reckoning is about addressing that quote-unquote suffering. Because there is real suffering. In all of your nations and places, you have starving people. And all of these conditions do not have to exist. But they only merely exist because of someone else's lower vibrated ego. Someone else's wanting to be over another person. If everyone had everything, you couldn't be the best, could you? You low-level pieces of shit. Do you understand what I'm saying, folks? The narcissistic reasoning is why you've been kept down for so long, folks. It's part of why there will be a reckoning, folks. So it's important that you understand why there's going to be a reckoning. It's part of your behaviors. It's part of how you're prospectively seeing things in this current. It's part of what you're doing to others. It's a part of a lot of this dysfunction. But the best of us are waking up and grabbing these things. That's why I told you. Because I know a great many of you, a great lot of you will not get this, even up to the very date of the reckoning. I'm only speaking to certain people who are waking up with this message. Okay? Think a little harder, but call out to God in your hearts, folks. And you can't fool or manipulate God in any kind of way, because he is actually standing in your space to give you life. He's giving you that gift, that free will, to believe and experience and think that you're separate from him, but you never have been separate from him. If the great heavens, if all of the great ones know this, then aren't you truly ignorant? Right? Honoring them is just merely giving praise to God. You give praise to God for everything. But when you live in a world where you're scrambled and they got you rat racing and shit, you can't focus on the real things. This is how I started this off, folks. Give your praise to God, folks. I'm gonna wrap this up with that. That's the most important thing in this all. Giving your praise to God would have eliminated all of the problems that are going to bring the reckoning, folks. You don't get it. This is important, folks. I love bad behavior, you know. But I'm just not in love with the idea of why I gotta even ponder the question to you in irony or anything, or make the statement is what I'm saying. It's troubling to me that many of you are drinking this Kool-Aid and you're so caught up in things so caught up in yourselves and how you want to do certain things in a certain way without recognizing what the Most High wants you to do. You're selfish. You're not appreciative. And it's just, I'm just trying to figure out what will it take to really get you guys to see this. It's just going to have to be how it's going to be, I guess. But yes, there is suffering, folks. Ask any victim, folks, how they're coping. And think about all of the people who are doing the very things that are giving them the problems in the first place, folks. So just understand that you are part of the problem. The best of you will look inside of your hearts. Call out to God. Try to be the best you can be. And hold on to Him. Because when the reckoning comes, you'll be good going through this. Okay? You folks going over to my website, thinkbehavior.info. Pick up my book, I Love Bad Behavior. You can pick the book up on Amazon. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the new subscriptions this week. And you guys have a great, wonderful day. But really think about that. For every wonderful day you have, you're gonna see many more days of suffering. The problem is you can enjoy those wonderful days and never reflect on the actual suffering, which is a reality that many of you have created and many of you have bought into. Y'all take care.